You are such a genuine gem. Thank you for clicking on this video. I'm Brooke McKenna, but today's video is going to be a Q&A. That's so weird, not saying today's case. But I really wanted to do a little more personal video for reaching 20K because I cannot express my gratitude for every single one of you subscribing to me. I truly can't even believe that I've reached this milestone, and it means the world that you guys truly care about the cases I'm talking about and you enjoy how I present them, because it's different with each true crime YouTuber. You like them for different reasons, and just because someone does the same content doesn't mean they do it in the same way. And the fact that you all choose to watch me and you enjoy listening to me and I get to be a part of your everyday routine, when you guys leave comments like that, it truly warms my heart, because I know how it feels to want to watch someone every single day like they're your best friend. And if I can tell you anything, it's that I am your best friend. I have a community that enjoys and is passionate about the justice for the victims or hearing about their stories just as much as I am, and so I can't thank you enough for being one of those people. And I just wanted to say that before we start this Q&A. The first one I had here is, what cases wouldn't you cover, and what cases had the biggest impact on you, the one that has stayed in your thoughts the longest? So the cases that I wouldn't cover, there aren't a ton. I would say I try to stay clear of these super dramatized ones, or the ones that are in the media. I fear that any of us true crime YouTubers can be looked at as though we are making the cases strictly to just gain money off of the victims. I truly want to help, and so I really steer clear of like the huge ones. Like, no shade to any true crime YouTuber who does those cases, because I do think, especially the unsolved ones, I think that they're still necessary to talk about because we do want them solved. I just try to make my channel more of a lesser known cases, mainly because I have heard so much about the other cases that I would fear that someone else's opinion would go into the video that I do and kind of my theories on it, because I have listened to so many other theories that other people have. And I really like to go into cases with a clear mind, so I can see the case as though if I was investigating or if I was the family, and come up with theories from there. And the case with the biggest impact on me, Mary Boyle. I did a whole case on her disappearance, and ever since then, it truly just pops into my head every once in a while, because I don't understand why no one has ever been arrested in that case, especially when the parents, or not even the parents, because her mother doesn't even want to be involved in it, but her sister, her twin sister, thinks she knows exactly who did it and has the evidence, and no one seems to listen. And it just seems like one big cover-up to me, and it makes me so angry that I just can't talk too much about it. And I think that's why it pops up in my head. If I could help anyone's family, I guess it would probably be either her sister or the case that I just did, that Cheryl Grimmer's brothers. I'd love to know down below the ones that really get to you though, because watching all these different kind of cases, I'm sure you have one too that you just cannot stomach or that really angers you. Where are you from? You have any siblings? I am from Kansas. And do I have any siblings? Yes, I have 4. They are all adopted. And as you guys know, or may not know if you haven't watched my channel for that long, my parents did foster care ever since I was 5 years old till I was about 16 years old. I think that any child that I had in our home as a foster child was my sibling and continues to be my sibling forever. And so I'll link that video down below, because it doesn't really make sense when I don't talk about all of it. But basically, if they were in our home, I loved them like a sibling, and I still continue to do so. So in reality, I probably have over 20 siblings, but just not in my immediate family, if that makes sense. I will say that having adopted siblings is extremely hard. Not because there is any sort of difference in the fact that do I think they're my sibling or not, because I love them just the same as if my mother had another child. But they have a ton of trauma that they deal with, and a lot of just sadness and hurt within them from before they were with us. Reactive attachment disorder, or RAD, is something that occurs in a lot of adoptive kids and affects the entire adoptive family. And I really want to talk more about that if you guys want to hear about that, because it's something that truly affects so many people and can be extremely hard for the children and the entire family to deal with, and it's something that nobody has a cure for or even knows what to do with it. Alright, what got you interested in true crime? So I would definitely say my father, because he loved to watch those like fiction crime movies, a lot with oh, what is her name? Ashley Judd, I think her name is. She's been in a ton of those kind of movies, and we would always watch those together. And then I found Criminal Minds, which, like I've said before, the psychology of a criminal is just my absolute favorite part of a crime case to look at, especially of like a serial killer. So I got a lot of questions that were kind of like this, but this one says, how do you unwind and take your mind off of researching / covering some of the more disturbing cases? And for me, that's a hard one, truly, because it truly can affect mental health unlike anything else. If I am feeling kind of overwhelmed and anxious and my brain is just like buzzing and I can't focus on anything, that's when I know it's time to take a break and just not research anything for a while. I try to kind of bulk stock my videos, so I research a whole bunch at one time, and then I film them, edit them, put them up, and then I give myself a little bit of a break from researching, and that's what I found to be the best, because I find if every single day I'm researching a crime case where there's a murder victim or a missing person or a serial killer, that's all I'm thinking about 24/7. And I also pretty much don't watch any sort of crime, even fiction anymore, as far as, you know, documentaries in my free time or any shows really that are too dark, any movies that are too dark. And that's really hard for me too. I really have to make sure that I'm being very adamant about not watching that kind of stuff, because that's of course my favorite stuff to watch, but instead I've now turned to watching like love stories and comedies and stuff like that. Really has never been my favorite, but I've noticed that I like it even more now because it's a break from my mind constantly being in that dark place. So the short answer is I don't really know what I do to unwind, and that's something that I need to prioritize more, but I am trying really hard to not let my whole life be consumed by that, if that makes sense. Why do you always say you are such a genuine gem? You know, I've never really thought about this. I have always loved the term gem. When somebody calls me a gem, I just think it's the cutest thing. I've always had old women call me a gem, and I just always felt honored by them to have been called that. And I thought, you know what? My subscribers are little diamonds in the rough. My channel is still small, and they have found me, and they are so unique for caring about the true crime community and for caring about victims that they have never even met before. And I just find that all of you that watch my videos truly have such a big heart, have so much empathy. So amazing to see all of my comments always being so genuine and caring and kind, and there I said genuine, so it made sense for me to call you guys my genuine gems. And I know that it can be looked at as a little cringy, but just know, like, I mean that when I say that. That's what I think you are. I'm not saying it just to have like a cute little name. She had another question. She said, have you ever had a stalker or creepy experience yourself? Now, before this, I would have said no. I think I would have said no. I can't think of anything from my past right now, but something recent just happened, and I was going to do a story time on this, but this is perfect because now I can just answer it in here. But it kind of has to do with human trafficking, or I think it does. Now, this is something that is basically all speculation on my part and probably a little paranoia as well, considering I do these videos. But it was a very scary day, or at least a little time period. So the other weekend, my mom and my sister, who my sister's 15, we were all out shopping, and we were going to thrift stores, and we went to this certain, I think it was a Savers, and it was a brand new one that we have only gone to a few times, and we went in there. Everything was fine. We've been in there before, like I said, and didn't have any troubles. However, this time I just got a really bad energy from it. I was kind of off on my own. We kind of all went our separate ways to look at the different things we wanted to, and I was looking in the furniture department. And I came across this older man. He was probably in his 50s, possibly 60s. No, I would probably say 50s. But he was definitely older. And he was kind of just milling around the furniture department. He had nothing in his hands. And we made eye contact. As I was walking in, he was kind of walking out. And we made eye contact, and I'm not one to just, you know, stare at him, especially because I feel like I have a resting bitch face. So I always try to smile at people to make them know I'm not angry at them or I'm not a hateful person. So I just gave him a smile, and he kind of gave me this, like, and I don't even know how to, like, I don't know if that was, like, creepy at all, but, like, in the moment I was like, what was that? Like, just like a like that sound is like the face he made. I don't know if that makes sense, but, and I was just like, oh, okay. And all of these shelves are so short that you can like see over them, so I went around this corner and was like looking at the shelf, and I noticed that the guy had walked a little bit farther away, but he continued to do like look right at me and continued to make eye contact. And I don't know if I'm just a super paranoid person, but I also think it's not a bad thing to be aware of your surroundings. And so I was just kind of like, I don't know, I'm feeling a real bad vibe in here. I'm gonna go and see if I can find my sister, because I thought that she was like closer to me than my mom was, and so I'm gonna go find my sister, better in two. I went up to her and I said, you know, this man, he's kind of creeping me out. He won't stop looking at me. I'm just gonna hang out with you, just in case, you know, you never know. And she was like, okay, yeah, don't leave my side. All of a sudden, I see the same man slowly walk past, and as he did, he turned and he just stared, like the entire time as he walked out of the store. I was then a little bit more creeped out, but I was like, okay, he left. I didn't see him come back in. I didn't see him go anywhere. He left. He didn't have anything in his hands, but some people maybe don't buy anything, so it was fine. However, then I started noticing that there were a ton of single men with nothing in their hands in this store. But then my mom, who I hadn't talked to about it, said she noticed it too. And that's when I was like, okay, something is very wrong here. And then while I was talking to my mother, and my sister was in her section still kind of nearby, we were still keeping an eye on her, but I was talking to my mom about it, this man comes up, and he was an older man still, but he came up like he was listening to us, and he walked over to the women's athletic department, which was right across the rack from us, and he just stared at us while he was mindlessly like looking through the clothes with nothing else in his hands. And I mean, good for you, sir, if you want to wear women's athletic clothes. Like, I truly, like, clothing has no gender, whatever you want to wear. However, it was definitely not his size. They were like smalls when he was like a large man. So unless he was like trying to find something for his daughter, I don't know, but he wasn't even really looking at it. He was looking at us. So I was like, what are you doing, sir? And then at that same time, there was also another man who was a little bit younger, and he had nothing in his hands as well. And he walked right past my mom and me. And he stopped, looked me up and down, and then continued walking, but not too far away. And he continued to like circle me. As these human traffickers, they really do. They work in teams. And I just started to feel like something was very, very wrong. And I should point out that when we first got to this store, there was this woman who went up to my sister and just kind of said, hey, do you work here? And my sister was like, no, because she was 15 and she had nothing on that appeared to be like she worked there. And then the woman just kind of stood there. I thought that was kind of weird too, but we were just like, oh, you know, everyone gets mixed up every once in a while. And so again, we're just trying to rationalize it so we're not getting ourselves too freaked out. Then my mom tells us that she had seen a woman with a handkerchief in her hand, and she was just holding it. And she was kind of walking around aimlessly, looking like through the aisles. It wasn't like she was looking at the clothes. She was just kind of like looking around, like trying to see something. And then instantly I was like, chloroform. And we just kind of hustled outside, got in the car. Nothing happened after that. We were fine. However, I just feel like something was very wrong there. And also, when we went in the dressing room, my sister and I went in together because it was quite a big dressing room, and we were scared that if we went in alone, something would happen. So we noticed that there was a camera like above us, like on the ceiling, pointed down into the dressing rooms, which is illegal. I don't know if the whole store was in on it. I don't know if these were all just little coincidences that had nothing to do with one another. It's becoming more and more common now, and I just want you all to be so safe and never think that just because you might just be paranoid that it's not actually happening. If I hadn't have noticed, something bad could have happened, but I truly believe that that first guy was like a ringleader. What is your favorite thing to do besides your channels? Probably writing. It's one of my biggest passions, and I've already written 2 novels and I'm working on my 3rd, and I would love to get them published one day. And they all have an element of science fiction, crime too. I would say a lot of them have kind of a like sneaky underlying message in like true crime and all of that, because of course it's what I research all the time, it's what I know about, so of course it's gonna have some of that in there as well. I also love dancing, but that's so hard to do as an adult. Ooh, I loved this question. It said, would you ever live in a house that has a violent / haunted past, like the Amityville horror house for example? No, I wouldn't, because I am all about energy, and I feel like the minute I walked into a place like that, I would instantly be hit with just dark black energy and could not even handle a few seconds in there. I love haunted houses, but I think that that's because they are fiction and it's like built in a home that's not actually haunted most of the time, and you go in and it's like actors and stuff. But I think in an actual haunted home, or even one where there's been a murder, I think I'd instantly be able to sense that, even if the realtor had never said anything. Do you have another job other than YouTube? I am a cosmetologist, so I do hair and makeup and nails and all of that. And I graduated a few years ago, actually. I would love for YouTube to be my full-time job, and I do have to thank my Patreon supporters because they truly mean the world to me. It helps me so much with money saving and getting enough money to support myself, and just everything to make this a full-time career. It's working towards that. What kind of things do you do to help yourself get through tough days, like days when you feel down or feel like you have anxiety? I struggle with severe anxiety, and I'd be interested to know what you do in these situations to get yourself through it. I truthfully let myself have a very, very relaxed day. I'm very self-motivated, and that can be very hard because I'm also a perfectionist, meaning that I'm constantly working on something, and I never let myself rest without feeling like I'm lazy. But when I'm feeling really anxious, I tell myself, you don't have to do anything today. Your body is telling you no, and that means no. Will you be at the next Crime Con in Orlando? I can't wait and hope you'll be there. Aw, well, I would love to go to one of those events one day. I do have severe social anxiety, and it kind of goes along with the first question. It's not always something that you can just push through, and I would love to do so one day, and I would love to meet all of you. That would truly make me so happy and would probably help my anxiety, but just the thought of going there with big crowds and possibly talking on a panel, I don't know if I can do that at this moment, but it's something that I definitely love to work towards. And just keep me in your thoughts when you're there, because I would love to be there if I could. How do you come down from telling these tragic stories? You seem like a kind, empathetic soul that it's hard to imagine these events don't affect you. I love meditating. It's something that I can't, just like exercise, can't bring myself to do sometimes. And I'm like, it will help. And I also really am into law of attraction and manifesting. And that really helps me too, because I know that negative thoughts bring negative reactions and then negative life. And so I really try to keep my thoughts positive. And like right after I film a video, I try to do something super happy and uplifting, or just let myself have a break, or go somewhere, or watch a movie, you know, something like that. Something so it's not just like a Debbie Downer all day, where I'm constantly being negative the whole day. Sometimes I get worried about my cat, because she always lays next to me while I film, and I'm like, you're absorbing all this information, honey. You need to go somewhere else. Is that weird? Do cats absorb the information? I don't know, but I feel really bad sometimes. If you could have any case that you've covered solved, which would it be? You know, I would say probably the Hoggle case. There was a update this year, actually, in regards to that case, and it's one that should be solved. That is why I don't do a lot of more recent ones too, because those hit me the absolute hardest, because I don't know, something about them, it happening so recently, it just puts my mind in a different place than it being vintage. Ooh, who do you want to collaborate with in the future? Who would be your dream collab? 100% Danielle Hallen. I love her. I can't even put into words my love and respect for that woman. She's the perfect combination of professionalism and dealing with recent sensitive cases with empathy. And I feel like there's no one like her. Probably not on YouTube, not on the planet. She is just one of a kind. And I truly feel like we'd be best friends if we ever met in person. But that may just be creepy, so I'll stop there. Do you enjoy scary movies? It seems to be fairly split with those who like true crime, so I'm curious. I love scary movies. Like I said, I don't watch a ton of them right now, but I have always loved scary movies. Will you write your own true crime novel someday? I'm not sure if it would be true crime, but I would love to write a fictional crime novel. By the way, my Instagram is just at Brooke McKenna with a little underscore. If you want to follow me, I post some of my writing on there. What subject do you most prefer covering on your channel? I especially love doing the ones like I did the Jayla Gladden one. And she was actually abducted and then found. And those are my favorite to do because then I can give you guys an uplifting story in the midst of all of this darkness. I can just give you some nice little hope. How do you do your research? So basically I pull up a whole bunch of tabs of different articles that I can find, including podcasts, including YouTube videos, including documentaries, and then I make sure to save them. And then I also pull up just a Microsoft Word and I begin to write. Do you remember the entire true crime story when you make a video, or do you have notes? I definitely have notes. I would absolutely love to be someone who can just remember a whole story and sit here and blurt it out, but I do my best and I still can do like paragraphs at a time, but I need to check again. And a lot of the times kind of I'll glance down and I'll be able to pick it up from there because I do know the story and I know what happened, but the little details, especially the dates and the times, those could be really hard to remember a whole story worth of them. So I feel like if I did memorize it all, it would come off very stiff. And with me kind of doing paragraph by paragraph, I can tell the story how I would tell it naturally, which I find is easier to watch. How do you pick the cases you cover on your channel? I, a lot of the time, take requests from you guys. A lot of the times I'll be researching a case and I'll find one through that then I'll go into as well. But yeah, my cat's looking at me, so I think that he wants a snack. You want a snack? Say hi. Say hi. Oh, what a good, oh, look at that. I also do have a second channel, which I'm going to be posting even more on. I was doing just strictly ASMR, but I kind of want to transform it a little bit and make it a little more just me in general. So I will have that link down below if you want to watch me over there. Don't ever forget to speak up. Your voice is powerful enough, and I love you to absolute pieces. You didn't think I was going to say that, but I am. All right, bye.